Hi and welcome to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed and I post weekly quilting and crafting tutorials. Today we are going to be making this gorgeous little placemat using a lot of scraps. I have a ton of hexagons made out of all different sorts of scraps, as well as from a swap I did a few years ago on Instagram. Actually, I did more than just one. I did a few swaps for hexies, and these ones were bright colors and also in text. I'm also going to show you how to put them on without using any fusible webbing, and how to stitch them down, so we do the quilting and the applique all in one go. We're going to use a different product called Roxanne's basted glue for that method, and then in part 2 of this video I will show you how to put the binding on by machine. So let's get started. Okay, so today we are going to make our little placemat, and you're going to need a few things for that. Obviously, you're going to need some hexagons, and the reason that I have so many hexagons here is because a few years ago I did a few swaps, as you can see, and I've used a lot of these already in projects and quilts and stuff like that, and I've just got this little case that I keep with all my supplies in it. So I'm going to use some of these today just to use them up because they've been sitting here for a while. But what you're going to need to make yours is you're going to need some 1-inch papers, and 1-inch measures from here to here, and that gives you a 1-inch measurement. I make these up on my scan and cut just using scrapbooking paper, and I believe I've got a couple in here that, yeah, there you go. You can make them out of anything, so any sort of scrapbooking paper. This one here is just made up with bits and pieces that I've had left over. So yeah, mostly I just used the white cardstock, and they run through the scan and cut really easy. You're also going to need a glue pen if you're going to do the glue basting method. If not, you can use this, you can use cotton to do a cotton basting method, and I'll just find this dark one here. You can see here, you can just baste it down like that. This way is really a little bit time consuming, so it takes a little bit longer. I do like the glue method, but you can see here a lot of these ones that have been sent to me have been basted with a thread. And the glue method, let me see if I can pull one out. No, that one's a... There we go. So the glue method, they're just stuck down onto the cardstock, and essentially all you do is you just pop that off and you pull that cardstock out. So once you've got it started, you can just pop it out and it all just remains as a hexagon. So you can use that method, and that's the method I'm going to use today because it makes it nice and quick. And then all I do once I've popped it out is I just give it a press and make sure all those creases are staying where they need to stay. You're also going to need some top fabric, so I'm using this cream mottled one here, and you're also going to need some backing fabric, and you're going to need some fusible fleece. I just like to use fusible fleece because it's just quick and easy, and I don't have to stress about pinning it all together or anything like that. You're also going to need some scissors, and if you're going to do the hand basting method with the thread, you're going to need a needle of some sort, or you're just going to need a glue pen, which is what I'm going to do today. All right, so basically what we need to do first is make our hexagon. So to do that, all I do is I grab my little hexagon and I just wrap my fabric around it. Now, I just use squares. I don't worry about trimming it down. If you're concerned about that, you can snip your corners off. It's easy enough to do, but I don't worry about it. I mean, waste not, want not is what I say. So you just put a little bit of glue on there and we just get it started. Now, if your square is a little bit big, obviously you're going to want to trim that off. And then all I do is I just go around. And I do have a video where, and I'll link that up in the top corner here, where you can see how I make a little mug rug. For all my other measurements for this today, you will find them over on our blog, and that is also linked up down below as well. So there you go. Our little bit of glue there is just holding that into place. And then all I do is I grab my iron and I just give that a little bit of a press. And that'll just hold it all in place. Okay, so you can see there, that is our hexagon done. Now, you're going to continue doing that until you have enough hexagons. We're going to need about 20 in total. That may be a few extra or a bit less, that's up to you. So basically that's all you're going to do for that. That's how quick and easy that is. If you're going to baste, well, obviously you wrap the fabric around the same way, and then you can see here on this one, they've just gone in here, come out there, gone back in, and then gone around to each corner. And that again makes it pretty simple to get out. Again, you can see this is just made out of what looks like library, you know, the cards that they have in libraries. It just looks like that. So they've made it out of that. You can see there that that all stays together. And again, I hit that with the iron and just pressing, not ironing, and that will just hold it into place. All right, so the first thing that we need to do after we've done that is we need to put our fusible fleece onto our top fabric. So we're going to just move all that out of the way, bring our iron over a little bit closer, and we're going to put our fusible fleece on there. Now this piece is probably a little bit bigger than I need, but that's okay. This is a great way to use up like backing fabrics and stuff from our quilting and all the rest of it. I get a lot of leftover fabrics. Starting in the center, I'm just going to iron that fusible fleece on, and your fusible fleece will have a smooth side and a bumpy side, and you want that bumpy side to go to the wrong side of the fabric. I like making, like if I've got little bits of nice pretty fabric left over from a project, I usually turn them into hexagons, and then I just, as you can see, this holds quite a few. And I've used a lot in recent times for projects and whatnot, and swaps and giveaways and all that sort of stuff. Alrighty, so we can see there that our fusible fleece is going on, and I'm just going to let that cool and move my iron out of the way, and then we're just going to lay that nice and flat. Alright, we're going to just come in, and I'm just going to use my mat here. We're going to come in about 3 inches from the edge here, and that is where I'm going to start laying my hexagons. Okay, so if you've got one that you really don't like and it's a little bit, you know, not your taste, start with that one. We're just going to line these points up here. So you can see I've come in about 3 inches, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to line this up there, and then I'm going to start putting them alternate down the way. Alright, so I'll grab this one out, and just to save a little bit of time today, I'm just going to use the ones that have already got the stitches on it. So then the next one is going to, the top edge is going to line up with that edge, and you can see there that they're just lining up next to each other. This is just to get an idea of what we need, and I'm going to show you a super quick way to do this so we don't have to worry about stitching them together or anything like that. We're actually going to stitch them down as we go. Add an orange one in. I'm just going to mix and match the colors somewhat. It's going to be a little bit scrappy. As I said, it's a great way to use up your leftover bits and pieces. And the good thing is you don't have to get rid of any of your cardstock. You can use that again. And you can see there how easy it is. I just pull it out. And that's the same for the ones that are glued down as well. They come out just as easy. Put this one in. It's got a little bit of colour in it. And you can see there this person has just used normal everyday cardstock from scrapbooking. Okay, so you can see there we've got them laid out. Now you can use 1 or 2 things to put them in place. You can use Fleece if you want to, but that gets a bit messy and I don't like to use that for this sort of project. You can use your glue pen and hit it with the iron to hold it in place before heading to the sewing machine. But what I like to use is Basted Glue by Roxanne's. So this is great. I use it for all sorts of things, for sticking down binding. Before I sew it, I also use it for applique, for raw edge applique. I use it for needle turn applique. I use it for a lot of things. Alright, so I'm going to grab a seat, and basically all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a dot in the center of each of my hexagons and place them down. Now you can see this one here doesn't quite come down to the bottom. That's okay, because our binding will actually cover most of that up, so we don't need to worry about that. So just starting down the bottom, I'm just going to open this up and pop just a little bit into the center. You don't need a lot, just a little dot is enough. And I'm just going to place these in place. Now, I'm not worrying about stitching them together. I'm not worrying about if they're 100% accurate or anything like that, because I'm going to actually stitch around each one. So I'm going to go up and then I'm going to come down, and then I'll go through the center and then through the edge, and wherever I haven't, I'll sew that. Okay, and then I will show you how to do all that. But I mostly just get these stitched down. I just want it a little bit different. I don't want to have to hand stitch it. If you want to hand stitch it all together to make your strip, that's fine. But these are going to sit down really secure anyway, because they're getting stitched by machine. And essentially what's happening is you're actually stitching them down and also quilting it at the same time. And they're scrappy. You're using your leftover scraps, which is awesome. It's nice and easy. And you can see it's just like a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle. And they're sitting in there nicely. And what I'll do is, before I move it to the machine, I'll pop it up on my ironing pad, and then I will iron it all in place. And then I won't worry about anything moving. And I'll also put a little dollop under each of these corners as well, just to make sure that they don't move when I'm stitching. So you can see I'm just using a tiny little amount. And of course there's no raw edges on these either, so it's going to be perfect to stitch down. I don't have to worry about the raw edges getting caught. So you can see how easy that is just to stick these into place. Okay, so next I'm just going to go along each of my corners and put a little dot just to help hold that into place. And once I hit it with the iron, it won't move. And I have used this for all different sorts of applications. I've used it for applique, where I've had it sitting there for, you know, ready to go for block of the months and stuff like that, and I haven't got to it, so I've had to just let it sit. I've had it used it for other, like when I'm doing a block and I'm running out of time for a sample, I'll, you know, put the binding on with it, and I've let it sit there for a couple of months before I've got back to it. Yeah, so I have no problem in using this product. It's a really good product. Okay, so we've placed that onto our ironing pad, and then I'm just going to, with the iron, just press, not iron it in any way. Don't move the iron. I just press it into place. And if you've got any spots that you think you might need some more glue, then you can just pop some more underneath there. So like this one here looks like it's going to lift up. So I'll just put a little bit there and a little bit there. And then just press it into place. Okay, so that is now dry. So you can see there I can pick it up and they're not going to come off. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a white thread today, so it's a little bit contrasting and blends in with some. And I'm going to go and I'm going to stitch these into place. Okay, so I'm going to head over to the sewing machine. Now you can do a couple of things here. You can do a straight stitch and go around each individual hexagon. I'm not going to do that today. I'm actually going to use one of my decorative stitches, and I'm thinking that I'm just going to use a zigzag stitch, and I'm just going to zigzag all the way down because it looks a little bit like a zigzag itself. Come across here, go up here, and then I'll just do each one, like come down the center as well, and then go across each one and just do a zigzag stitch. I'm just going to use a plain white thread today and just make it a relatively small stitch. Alright, so I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch that down. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I just want to swap out my 1/4 inch foot to my regular foot. As I said, I'm going to do a zigzag today, so we definitely do not want our 1/4 inch foot on there, otherwise we will have some broken needles. Alright, so all I'm going to do now is, as I said, I'm just going to start on the top here, and I'm just going to stitch all the way down. And when I get to a point where I've got to turn, I'm going to put my needle down, and then I will just turn the piece. So I've got to go one more. There we go. And then I'm just going to turn the piece. So basically what I'm doing here, and I'm not sure that you can see it very clearly, I might have to zoom in a little bit. And basically what I'm doing is where this edge of my foot is here, where that split is in it, that is what I'm lining up with the edge of my hexagon. So depending which way I'm going, it'll either be this one that this side I line it up with, or this side that I line it up with. And I've centered my needle so I know that my stitch is coming in and just going off. It's not going too far out onto this fabric, and that's what you're sort of going for. You can see there, it's just, you'll be able to stitch that down pretty easy, and we don't have to worry about sewing them together. And we're quilting it at the same time. So even better, 2 steps in one. And we keep doing that until it's done. Okay, so you can see here that I've gone down each side, I've gone down the center, and I've gone down that side there, and now we've just got these little ones here, and all I'm going to do is basically come across and end the thread with a lock off, jump over to here, do that, and I'm going to do that all the way down. So to do that, again, I just line up my 2 hexagons. I have my needle in the down position, and I can either do, I've got a little lock off stitch on mine, or you can just do a back stitch for 1 stitch. So you can see there it locked off, and then it'll start stitching. Now, if you've got a little bit of a gap here, don't stress about it. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to have jump threads, like as if I was doing an embroidery, and I'll go to the next one, and again do that. Lock off stitch, come back over to this one, and I will just snip those threads off when I go to clean up all the loose threads. Alright, so that is our last one. So you can see there that we've stitched down all of our hexagons, and they're not going to go anywhere. And now we can just trim off those excess threads, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so we've managed to get all that stitched down, and you can see there that none of that is going to move. I'm just going to give it a quick press so it's laying nice and flat. It's a quick and easy way to use up all your scraps. It's a quick and easy way to stitch it down. Quick and easy way to get it quilted. So we've done everything as quick as we possibly can, and we haven't wasted any fabric or anything like that. So get rid of all your excess threads. Okay, as I said, experiment around. You can do one with zigzag, you can do others with different decorative stitches and all that sort of stuff. Have a play with your machine and see what you can't create with it. You could have more hexagons, like you could have 3 across if you want, or you could have some rows that have 3, some rows that have 2. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our scissors, because we already have these cut to size. We don't want to get them with a rotary cutter or anything like that. And all you're going to do is this one here that is excess, we're just going to trim that off flush with our placemat, and the same at the other end. Okay, so that is our hexagons done and sewn into place. Our top is now quilted, so that is okay. We don't have to worry about the rest of it because it's a fusible fleece anyway. It's not going to come off. It won't peel up or anything like that in the wash. So that is it for today. So you'll need to have 4 of these in total. Basically what we're going to do next week is I'm going to show you how to put a binding onto this, but by machine. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope that you enjoyed making the hexagons on today's video. Join me next week for I'll show you how to put the binding on by machine to make this project a super simple, easy one to do. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video today. And for those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed for Darvanalee Designs Studio, and I'll see you all again next week for our binding video. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.